Man, it is a beautiful Thursday here in Central Illinois. It is a beautiful Thursday in general. Hopefully, where you are, it's a beautiful Thursday as well. And it's, a beautiful Thursday to talk about some NFL football, right? A lot's happened during the week here for NFL football. A lot. And by a lot, I mean something's going down in Kansas City. We got the latest updates on defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs. The 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk and the team have met, and they've discussed contract talks, trade talks. They just laid everything out on the table. We're going to discuss that here in a little bit. And what's the NFL tampering policy? And I think there's been a lot of chatter about that on my end. A lot of people are talking about, when are you going to talk about the tampering policy and the tampering stuff that happened back in March with the Atlanta Falcons and the Eagles? Well, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to discuss everything here on this beautiful Thursday of Pigskin Frenzy. Welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this wonderful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you have to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X, Instagram, and Facebook, just type in Pigskin Frenzy. Follow, like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will find home and about me page to contact me on. You will find affiliations page, a platforms page, the platforms page, all the pages that I just mentioned. You can mention, and you can go. I mentioned you can go and click on those platforms. Go and click on to see which one's your favorite. YouTube, you can watch on here. You can listen and plug in on the audio while you're driving down the road or eating breakfast or what have you. And then there's our contacting spot in the home and about me page where you can contact me, and I'll try to get to you guys on the show or personally. And there's also the affiliations page, which brings us to our proud partners of this show, the Beard Club. Guys, if you need a wonderful shave, look at my beard. See, I have a stubble. I have a beard. And as I'm, on YouTube, if you're watching me on YouTube, kind of like scruffing my hair, kind of it's mixed up with my headphones right now. But if you watch the beard, look at the beard, and you see everything. If you're watching me right now, all this is from the Beard Club. All the products, significant others of your male counterparts listening to the show, listen up. You're not going to want to miss this. Beard grooming kits. It involves beard board bristle brushes for your beard. It involves beard balm, beard oil, beard and face wash, all in the beard, and a razor, all in the beard grooming kit. 15% off on the website. Go to the website and you can get it. There's also 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, loofahs, body wash, and other products for your grooming needs to be met. Go to my website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will click on the affiliations page of my website, and you will click on the Beard Club logo, and it will take you to the Beard Club site. Then you can go to my link tree. The link tree is on my X bio, my Instagram bio, my Facebook bio, and the description of this YouTube video. Click on that and click on the link tree, and you will go to my link tree. You'll see the Beard Club link. Click on the Beard Club link, and it will take you to the Beard Club site. The Beard Club, it is going to help your grooming needs be met. Thank you to our proud partners at the Beard Club for this podcast. Go and get an incredible shave. NFL day today. Like I said, we're going to talk about the tampering policy here shortly to wrap up Pigskin Frenzy, and we're going to talk about the situation going on with NFL wide receiver Brandon Ayuk with the 49ers, and as well as the Chiefs up in Kansas City. It is June 27th in the year of our Lord 2024 as we are talking on this beautiful day and this great podcast episode. We are about 2.5 months out from the NFL season kicking off. We're about a few weeks out from training camp to start. July 13th is when the official training camp starts and we get preseason underway for NFL football, we are excited here at Pigskin Frenzy to be covering training camp and getting ready for the NFL season. A lot of updates. We're going to talk about training camp. We're going to talk about a little bit of preseason ball here on these NFL Thursdays. We got a lot of stuff to talk about coming up in the next few weeks, especially college and NFL. And it's going to be exciting. It's really exciting to be doing this podcast right now, especially as we enter, the NFL season. A lot of questions are going to be answered in this season, and I'm just really excited to get stuff going here for Pigskin Frenzy. Let's kick it off. Speaking of big questions, is the Kansas City Chiefs and who is going to dethrone them. That's another topic. But we're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to talk about, the updates going on with their offseason. And there's a lot of players that are having some offseason woes currently right now. And we're going to talk about one of those players and the update on him, and that is defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs. So let's go out to Kansas City and let's talk about this for a second. Isaiah Buggs, if you have not been keeping up with the podcast, if you've not been keeping up with my episodes, defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs was arrested back in May in Tuscaloosa. He's a former Alabama Crimson Tide football player back in Tuscaloosa for animal cruelty, second-degree animal cruelty. He was arrested back in May. Made bond of $600, went back up to minicamp, reported to minicamp, and worked out with Kansas City. Then in June, he was arrested again. So his second arrest in the past 2 months for domestic violence. He's been getting into trouble, and we pray that everything would be okay for him, and the situation came to light, right? So the situation unfortunately did come to light, not in the favor of what anybody had hoped, but the Chiefs are, and this is official, the Chiefs are releasing defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs. So the conclusion of this is that Isaiah Buggs will be released by the Kansas City Chiefs due to these past arrests for the past 2 months. Now, again, I've always said this, and I really, like I said, don't like talking about this, but for the podcast purposes, I told you I was going to keep up with it, and we have been keeping up with it here on the show. So what I don't like, and this is just me here, I do not like the I am not a fan of getting into trouble off the field, but also having it reflect on the field and in your organization. I think this was the case of you're making the organization look bad a little bit, and it's time to part ways since you're not trying to stay out of trouble and you're not helping yourself. So with actions like this comes certain consequences. He has lost his spot on the team. He has gone from the team, and he is looking to sign elsewhere. Do I think Isaiah Buggs is going to get another chance? Absolutely. I think Isaiah Buggs is a good rotating defensive lineman in the interior. I think he's physical and he's tough in the nitty gritty of the defensive line, and I think a team in the NFL would be lucky to have him in that rotating spot. I think that he is going to get another chance. I think now with Isaiah Buggs, we pray for him that everything goes his way. He changes in a lot of areas, and that a lot of things just come to light, and he changes his actions, and he stays out of the trouble so he can sign and be cleared to play some football this season in the 2024 season. But for the Chiefs, it was time to move on, and it was time because of a lot of the trouble that he was getting in. Now, you're thinking to yourself, okay, so they're going to release Isaiah Buggs because he got arrested twice. But Rashee Rice, he's been arrested a couple of times, and he's been charged. He's been charged with the nightclub incident with a photographer and the multi-vehicle car crash that involved him in Dallas earlier in the summer, late spring. So you're thinking to yourself, like, okay, why are they not going to release him, but they're going to release Isaiah Buggs? I think the reason why is that Rashee Rice is trying and making the effort to change a little bit. Now, if there's a third charge, if there's something else that happened to Rashee Rice, I would probably ask myself the same question, right? But if you want to think about it for a second, Isaiah Buggs was they apparently, and this is just word, I guess, wasn't trying to make the effort to change, right? To try to fix everything and to try to, solve everything. And I think that's what was the case of letting him go. And I think, and this sounds bad to say this, you're going to probably think, okay, that's kind of wrong, but they can afford to let him go. They can afford to let him go. They need Rashee Rice in the lineup. They need him at receiver along with Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce. Those are some three weapons that build around Patrick Mahomes and that offense. So if you want to think about it from a football on the field play ball perspective, they need Rashee Rice in the lineup. They need him. And I think that is what the issue is. They can rotate anybody out from the defensive line and into the interior. But when you look at the slot, the wide out position on the outside receiving position, if you want to go inside, outside, in the slot, you name it, as an H-back, line up Rashee Rice on a sweep, you can do a lot with Rashee Rice. And I think that was the big reason why Rashee Rice is still on the team and Isaiah Buggs is not. That doesn't make it right. I'm not saying it does, but I think that's a big reason why Isaiah Buggs and Rashee Rice, and that's the difference of where they are at right now in Kansas City. But that's the latest update on Isaiah Buggs. I pray that his situation gets better. I pray that both teams find clarity in everything and they both move on peacefully and everything works out for both teams and everything works out for Isaiah Buggs as he looks for another home in the National Football League. They are releasing him due to the past incidents and everything. I hope everything changes for Isaiah Buggs moving forward. So that's the latest update on Kansas City and the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Let's talk about the latest things going on in San Francisco. Let's move on to the contract situations. The main one, we're only going to talk about really one, and that's Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers. They had a meeting. Well, GM John Lynch and Brandon Ayuk had a meeting, and that was all I got up until yesterday, which was Wednesday. And what I got was that they are in a good place, and it was a good meeting talking about contracts and amid trade buzz. A lot of them were talking about, okay, we are going to trade him. No, we're going to keep him. We're going to sign him to a long-term deal. No, we're going to do this. I think the hard thing about everything is just 50-50 right now. Everything's up in the air. And I feel like it was a good discussion, is what I heard from NFL Network. This was according to NFL Network sources, that it was a good thing. It was a good thing, and they said everything that needed to be said. Is there a deal on the table yet? Not that I'm aware of, that I haven't heard. They talked about everything, and everything seems to be good right now. But there's been a lot of chatter that they weren't trying to trade him, that they are trying to trade him. But I'm not going to get into any of that because I think it's just kind of speculation and hearsay. But what I heard, and that was confirmed, that they did talk and air everything out about contracts, about everything, about where they stand on the team. As far as I know, Brandon Ayuk's entering his final year of his deal. As far as I know, Brandon Ayuk is going to be on the team for the Niners this season, as far as I know. But when you look at everything, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to tell. And my honest thoughts is I'm a little bit worried. I said that last week, that I'm kind of curious and I'm a little bit worried about everything with Brandon Ayuk. I'm worried about that, and I'm worried about Debo. If you want to bring Debo into the conversation, I'm worried about hearing the things that they are prepared to do life without Debo, Brandon Ayuk, or even both in as early as 2025. And I worry about that. I worry that this could be the final season that we see both of them on the same team together, or on the Niners as period. I get worried about that stuff. They were even trying to trade Debo and talk about trading Debo during the draft, and even or maybe even Brandon Ayuk. So I forgot about that. They were at least trying to talk about trading him during the draft, but nothing came to light about that. So I forgot about that. But now that I think about it, but I haven't really heard anything else about more trades with Brandon Ayuk, but it's worrisome about his status on the team after this season. I think that's what we're looking into. I guess it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's focus on the present. Let's focus on the present. But yes, John Lynch, yes, Kyle Shanahan, let's focus on the present. Let's focus on right now. But I would also kind of start taking shape and focusing on, okay, yes, his contract's up, and we need to do something about it, and we need to try to lock him in. Brandon Ayuk was a playmaker last season. He's been a playmaker for this team for quite a few seasons. And Brock Purdy has been throwing him the ball the past couple of years, and he has done extremely well in making plays and coming up with the ball when a lot of catches couldn't have been made, right? And a lot of catches couldn't have been made through him. He's a playmaker. He's a playmaker in the slot. He's a playmaker on the outside. And his key areas are those two spots. Brandon Ayuk can rotate in and out of those spots. And he has made incredible plays for this team, and even done some games, done some plays to win the game for the 49ers these past couple of years. He's a extremely talented receiver. Anybody in the NFL will be lucky to have a Brandon Ayuk. And I think that the Niners and the organization need to realize that before anything happens, like a Saquon Barkley, and they let him walk. That's the last thing that you would want. And I keep comparing it to the Saquon Barkley situation with the Giants. You don't want to let him walk. And I don't want them to let Ayuk walk. He's too talented of a guy to let go. And he's been a big part of your team the past few seasons. So the latest right now is they had a good meeting. Everything worked out pretty well, and everything worked out, as far as the best of my knowledge, good. So hopefully everything works out with Brandon Ayuk and the team, and hopefully everything works out with John Lynch, Brandon Ayuk, and Kyle Shanahan, and we can get a deal going forward. I think that what I'm worried about is that particular thing. They just let it go. They don't think about it, and it gets to the point where you're looking at it and you're thinking to yourself, okay, okay, well, we're just going to let you walk. We're not going to focus on it right now. We're going to get to it later. They did that with Saquon, and I feel like that was one of my key big issues with how the Giants handle Saquon. And I do not want the Cowboys to do this with CD, and I don't want the Niners to do this with Brandon. And I think that's what worries me. That's just my honest thoughts on everything. Let me guys know what you guys think in the comments on YouTube, or message me personally and comment about it, and we can talk about the Brandon Ayuk situation also. And thinking about that, what I may do one day is go live on social media, go live on Instagram to talk about certain situations and to talk about things going on across the league, just to help fan base and help things grow within the Pigskin Frenzy social media platforms, and get you to listen to the podcast as well. So hopefully just engage and just, talk to my listeners even more personally about football situations. So I may do that here in the near future. I'll let you guys know, but these are some conversations that we can engage in for a long period of time. Just go live and talk about these situations going on across the NFL and or a college football situation as well. So Brandon Ayuk in a meeting, it went well. They had things that needed to be said, but at the same time, we don't know for sure everything going on, and we don't know if they signed, if there's a deal on the table yet, if there's anything going on there, but we will see about it whenever there's an update. So that's the latest on the Niners and Brandon Ayuk and the contract situation going on there. So we got 18 minutes. We're 18 minutes into this podcast. Probably not going to be the longest episode. Probably going to talk about the tampering policy now for about 12 minutes, and we will conclude with that. So talking about the NFL tampering policy, what is the NFL tampering policy? What is it? Basically, it is where you cannot speak to a player, in a certain period until free agency kind of hits, right? And until free agency kind of hits. That's pretty much the basis of it. But I can tell you, the legal, a legal tampering period. Legal tampering period is it begins usually like a week to 2 weeks before the free agency happens. Legal tampering period it allows teams to start. This is from ESPN. It allows teams to start negotiations with the representatives of unrestricted free agents, unrestricted free agents before free agency officially begins. But it is with their agents. While contracts cannot be finalized or signed during the legal tampering period, deals can be agreed upon, and these consummated deals often get reported. And during the rules of this is the rules of the tampering period, the legal tampering period. Teams cannot communicate with players directly during the legal tampering period. Key word. I will repeat it. This is from ESPN. All this is from ESPN. Credit goes out to them. Teams cannot communicate with players directly during the legal tampering period. They cannot directly communicate with players during that period. All contact must go through the player's agent. If a team wants to meet with a player or speak with them directly, it must wait until free agency is officially underway. It begins a week before, or like about a week or two before free agency officially kicks off. That is the legal tampering period for the National Football League. Now, what happens with this is we get teams that are wanting to go after certain hotshot free agents, like a Kirk Cousins this past season, like a Mike Evans this past season, like a Baker Mayfield this past season, but they cannot speak to the player itself, not until free agency starts. They speak through the agent, and the agent goes back to that player and talks. They got to talk to the agent. The agent communicates with his representative, with his client, with his player, and that's how they get deals done before free agency kicks off the week prior, the week after. And I think a lot of that's tampering. That's the NFL tampering. That's the legal tampering. The illegal tampering, if you want to go with illegal tampering, is when they just go up to, say, Kirk Cousins and go, hey, man, let's talk about a contract and let's finalize a deal and let's talk to him. That is what the Atlanta Falcons did, and that's why we're going to talk about the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Falcons did that, and let's talk about the Falcons and let's talk about the Eagles here in a little bit. Two cases that happened. Falcons ended up tampering, as far as we know, and they were fined for tampering. This was announced a couple of weeks back, but we're going to talk about it now. They were fined for tampering for trying to get Kirk Cousins to join the Atlanta Falcons. They were talking to Kirk Cousins illegally and not during the legal and not following the rules during the legal tampering period. And they did not follow the legal tampering period rules. They broke those rules. They did not talk to his agent directly. They talked to Kirk Cousins directly. And you can't do that. And that's what the Falcons were doing. There's evidence behind it. There's traces of evidence behind it. And they were fined. They had to forfeit a fifth-round draft pick in the 2025 draft, and they were fined $250,000 for violating the NFL's anti-tampering policy related to free agency signings, including Kirk Cousins. Now, they were tampering with quarterback Kirk Cousins as well as wide receiver Darnell Mooney and tight end Charlie Woerner. And I think those were the three players that they were trying to go after directly, and they did not speak with their agents in the legal tampering period. Rather, they just, went ahead and spoke to the players. Cannot do that. That's tampering, and you can't mess with that. I think my discussion on this is $250,000 and 2025 NFL draft pick, a fifth-round draft pick. To me, that's not a hard punishment. Let me tell you about that here in a little bit. I'm going to get into that and why I think it's not a hard punishment. Let's talk about the Eagles really fast. The Eagles were investigated for their signing of running back Saquon Barkley during the offseason and think that they spoke to him directly instead of the agent during the legal tampering period before free agency began. They did not. There was no evidence behind that. They followed the rules, and they spoke with the agent and then spoke with Saquon when free agency hit and then got the deal done then. So the Eagles did it clean. The Eagles were cleared from everything. The Eagles were fine. So that was the Eagles side of things. We're not going to get into much of that. They were cleared from it. But let's talk about the Falcons really quick. The Falcons, like I said, were fined $250,000 $250,000, and they lost a 2025 draft pick. To me, if you want to look at everything, to me, I don't really consider that a harsh of a punishment. I think that the Falcons can easily pay the $250,000. They can easily, afford to lose a 2025 fifth-round draft pick depending on how their season goes. And I think with the team that they got on offense, that the Falcons are going to give possibly the Buccaneers, the Saints, and the Panthers a run for their money in the NFC South Division. I think the Buccaneers are going to be right behind them in that, but I think the Falcons, with the players that they got now, especially with signing Kirk Cousins, is going to give them a run for their money. I think the punishments was kind of light. I think the punishment needs to be a little bit more grim for the NFL anti-tampering policy. I think that with the policy, it needs to be enforced in a way where, okay, we're cracking down on this. You cannot, there is no way you're not giving other teams a shot at talking to somebody and doing it before, anybody else. Because this not only affects, this affects the player, it affects the team with getting in trouble. This affects other teams from talking to him. This affects other teams from having a shot and trying to swoop anybody away. The NFL, not only on the football field as a competition, in the business side of things, in the getting players and drafting players side of things, it is a competition. It is a big competition. It is all one big thing. You're going to go after him? Well, guess what? I'm going to go after him. I'm going to lay everything out on the table to sign a Kirk Cousins, to sign a Jared Goff or whoever. I'm going to lay everything out on the table to get this player. And you're going to have to try to match my offer or do better than what I'm going to present to him. Everything's a competition. It's competitive. And that's what makes football so fun. But at the same time, when you follow the rules and earn your way to that player, that's what makes it fun. And I'm not saying the Falcons didn't earn their way to Kirk Cousins, but you have to follow the rules and you have to, and you have to do things the right way. But they did not crack down on it hard enough. I think they need to be, I think they need to tweak it. I would even say go as further as, hey, you did one draft pick. I would up the stakes. I would say I would take away 2 or 3 draft picks. 2 or 3 draft picks. Maybe a 5th round and 2 7th rounders, or a 5th round, a 6th round, and a 7th round. What have you. Just up the stakes and make the money be a little bit more than $250,000, because a draft pick and $250,000 is nothing to the Falcons. They paid it easy. They paid it easy, and depending on how their seasons go, they may not need that 5th round draft pick in 2025. They may not need it. So it's one of those things where I think that they let off a little bit easy. That's my take on the NFL anti-tampering policy. I think there needs to be a change. I think those are the 2 ways I would change it. I would up the fine. I would up the draft pick. And I think even a staffing suspension could be in order too. I think if you want to up it as well, a staffing suspension for the team and the organization could go a long way as well. Hey, it learns how to do your job and how to do your job correctly. Keeping it at $150. I'm just letting you know how it is. There's got to be better consequences for actions. You can't let people, just pay some money that they can easily pay. We'll dock you a draft pick. They're going to be fine. The Falcons are going to be fine from this punishment. They still have all their players that they signed. They still have everything. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, that the Falcons are hurt by this from. The tampering policy has got to get a little bit stronger when it comes to punishments. If somebody tampers with somebody and they're doing it illegally, not a legal tampering period, but illegally, and not speaking through their agent, they're going directly to the player, that should be a staffing suspension. That should be up the money, and that should be a couple of draft picks or 3 draft picks. It shouldn't be easy money and a draft pick. I'm just saying, make the punishments harsher and a little bit lighter than what we were getting with this. And I think that's my honest thoughts on the tampering policy. Again, I'm not the NFL. They need to do what they want. They need to do whatever they can to make the league better and make everything stronger. But to me, I think the punishment could be a little bit harder, a little bit more grim than just a draft pick, and $250,000 that the team and organization could very well pay and have already probably paid off. So that's my thoughts on the NFL anti-tampering policy. That's about all we got for Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Again, thank you for taking some time out of this Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you have to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X, Instagram, and Facebook, just type in Pigskin Frenzy. Follow, like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, check out the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you'll find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy and our platforms page and our partnership with the Beard Club. Thank you for being our proud partner of this podcast, as well as you can contact me there too. We will be back Tuesday for our final conference standing projections of the offseason for college football. We're going to conclude the 2024 conference standing projections with the SEC. You're not going to want to miss Tuesday. That's a July 2nd episode. That's next Tuesday. And next Thursday is July 4th. Next Thursday, can you believe it, is July 4th. Let me look on my calendar here. It's July. Let me see. Yep, next Thursday, July 4th, Independence Day. We will have a July 4th special of Pigskin Frenzy next Thursday for NFL edition. So getting kind of hyped up for training camp. But until Tuesday for college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy, I'm Joel Norris signing off. We will see you Tuesday for Pigskin Frenzy. Enjoy your guys' weekend. For everybody out there, please and always stay the course.